People are insecure, and when you set boundaries, you'd be surprised how much people resist, and you'd be surprised how mad they get, and you'd be surprised how much they forgive you, and you'd be surprised how much they'll end up respecting you. Now, some highly insecure people will start gaslighting you, which shows you that they're toxic and manipulative, right? This is why boundaries reveals everything. It reveals a person's self-esteem. It reveals a person's real nature, whether or not they're vindictive, whether or not they're understanding. When their partner tries to establish healthy boundaries or take time for themselves, it can trigger feelings of insecurity and activate the brain's stress response. And this is not done intentional. Like, if you do the real boundaries, people are going to feel insecure and they're going to want to see you more. Which then,
like a boss.
Don't forget coupon code MINDFUL to get 50% off all of my courses, and coupon code MINDFUL to get 20% off all of my coaching calls. All right. So MINDFUL is not, we had to change it up because a lot of people were having trouble with the old coupon code. So we're just doing MINDFUL, people. Okay. A lot of people believe that in order to be valued, they have to offer something tangible, be funny, be interesting, have a great job, be good looking. And those things have a superficial sense of value. And we're not going to touch on pretty privilege, because that's actually one of the easiest way to be valued. I mean, as a child, good looking babies get better treatment from adults, and they grow up to have higher self-esteem, and they're trusted more by adults than ugly looking babies, you know? So the prehistoric looking babies, but if you're a good looking baby, you're gonna be valued. But we're not gonna talk about that because it's obvious, right? So this one is more about the unexpected ways that people are genuinely valued in society. And the most important way for you to be valued is to understand the other person. Too many people want to be understood. Too many people want people to see their point of view. Too many people are frustrated that people are not open enough to get to know them, that people have a closed mind, that people are stubborn. But what people don't understand is that you're also stubborn. Why? Because you believe you have better things to say. You believe you're more interesting. And you believe that the other person doesn't have better things to say than you do. And so this comes out in your attitude and how you listen to people and how you interact with them. And as a result, when you talk to people, all you're doing is talking about yourself. All you're doing is trying to let yourself be understood, but you never really think about understanding the other person. Let me tell you something about people. What people really want is to feel understood without being judged. If you could find somebody who knows your flaws, who knows your negative, your flaws as a person, and they still accept you, I could promise you a part of you is gonna shed a little tear. It's gonna shed a little tear. Why? Because that reminds us of our childhood, when we were at the most happiest, when we were the most impressionable, when our parents hopefully loved us despite our flaws, where our parents picked us up from jail and still cooked us dinner, right? All of that kind of stuff are things that most humans need. Every person needs it. But the problem is that the world that we live in, people are so self-absorbed that they don't really take the time to understand the other person. Why? Because they just want to be understood. So all this concept that I'm telling you right now isn't really like a tactic. You got to look at this person in this eye and then here and then look at him there. No, this is an attitude change. You literally have to say to yourself, I want to understand this person. I want to understand who they are without judging them. And if you genuinely try to understand them with compassion, they are going to feel it. You're not going to notice what you're doing differently, right? That's one thing. You're not going to pay attention what you're doing differently. And you might say, wow, Alex, I'm doing the same thing. Listen to me. If you talk to people trying to understand them with compassion and without judgment, they're going to feel that, because it's an energy transfer.
As social beings, humans have an innate desire for connection and acceptance. We seek validation and reassurance from others to feel a sense of belonging and to establish our identity within a social context. The sensation of feeling accepted and understood unconditionally, without having to hide our flaws, is incredibly powerful. It evokes a deep sense of relief, comfort, and emotional security. When we are genuinely understood, we experience a profound sense of validation and acknowledgement. It allows us to feel seen, heard, and valued, which in turn boosts our self-esteem and overall well-being. The origins of this sensation can be traced back to early developmental stages. In childhood, the way we are understood and accepted by our caregivers shapes our sense of self-worth and influences our ability to form healthy relationships later in life. When we receive understanding and acceptance from our caregivers, it establishes a foundation of trust and emotional security. Psychologically, feeling understood and accepted activates the reward centers in our brain, releasing neurotransmitters such as dopamine and oxytocin. These chemicals contribute to positive emotions, promoting feelings of happiness, connection, and a sense of belonging. Furthermore, societal norms and cultural influences play a significant role in shaping our need for understanding and acceptance. Society often places expectations and judgments on individuals, making it challenging to reveal our vulnerabilities and flaws. The fear of being judged or rejected can lead us to hide aspects of ourselves, hindering authentic connections and personal growth.
And they're going to value you, and they're going to look at you with so much warmth and happiness because you understand them and you don't judge them at the same time. For example, the best way to is to imagine a drug addict, right? Somebody who's addicted to drugs. What type of person do you think they need in their lives? Somebody as vulnerable as somebody who's addicted to some hard drugs. What they need is somebody who understands them, is somebody who sees them at their worst and still loves them. We all need that. And if you could provide that to anyone, to your girlfriend, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, fucking Tyrone, the personal trainer, your granny, they're gonna love you. This is why we love our grandparents and our parents a lot, because they know who we are and they still accept us. So that's one thing. Just try to understand people, not tolerate their bullshit. That's completely different. Not let them abuse you, not let them take advantage of you, not let them lie to you and then go behind your back and play you. No. Because the next one is this: boundaries, right? Your boundaries is your emotion, is your immune system. If you don't have boundaries, people cannot value you. We've all had friends who listened to us, who understood us, but they had no boundaries. There's a certain level of respect that we tend to lose for people who have no boundaries, for people who have no self-respect, because you tell us how to treat you, not the opposite way around. So if you're gonna do this, you gotta have boundaries, people. You gotta have boundaries, because then you're gonna look like one of those social workers or psychologists who are in an abusive relationship, where you're compassionate but stupid at the same time. You can't let people treat you like anybody else. You gotta make sure, you gotta force them to respect you, not by fucking gaslighting them or waterboarding them. Nah, don't put me in that conspiracy. What I'm talking about is you force them to respect you by either saying you're either gonna respect me or I'm leaving you. There is no other threats. There's no spinneroonies, no slashing tires. This is just, you either respect me or you leave me. This is not a negotiation, boo-boo. So that's one thing. You got to have the boundaries. That's the first thing. So you have to pretty much don't stay with those who don't value you. Don't pursue those who don't pursue you. Don't feel the need to be liked. If the person doesn't want to pursue you, don't pursue them. If the person doesn't seem enthusiastic to see you, you could be enthusiastic, but if you're noticing a pattern, don't be there. If you're noticing that this person doesn't feel happy in your presence, why be there? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everyone should be freaking whistling whistling like Bob, the fucking Bob with 5 kids. No, I'm saying that if you don't seem to be excited to be around me, if you're not the one also making effort to see me, then don't be there. Why? Because that person may not value you. So it's all about boundaries. And the boundary says is that if you don't value me, then I'm not going to be in your life. I may be an acquaintance, but nothing more than that. And that attitude permeates all of your nonverbal cues, and the way you look at people, the way you stand, everything comes from your attitude. And if you have that attitude, it's going to come across as high self-esteem, and it's going to come across as somebody who demands and deserves respect. The next one is absence and presence, people. This is so important. Absence and presence. A strong presence brings honor and respect, but too much can have a reverse effect. The more people see you, the less they're gonna respect you. Learn to withdraw at the right moment before people unconsciously push you away. People, this is a game of hide and seek, and we've all experienced somebody who has overstayed their welcome, where we want them to get the hell out. We've all been there, and this is what this is pretty much saying. So from time to time, don't be there. If you see them five days in a row, give them a break. Let a motherfucker breathe. It's your and you'll say, okay, Alex, how much space should I give them? Well, first of all, don't ask that question simply because right now it depends on your state of mind. If you're really needy, if you're feeling the excitement of addiction, you know that feeling where you're seeing them every day and you want to see them again. When you're feeling that momentum of addiction of, oh my God, I want to see them again, that's when you got to take a break. And the problem is that if you're an unhappy person, if you have low self-esteem, that feeling is going to be so intense that waiting is going to hurt so much to the point that you're not even going to do anything.
At the core of low self-esteem lies a lack of self-worth and confidence in oneself. Individuals with low self-esteem tend to have negative self-perceptions, constantly questioning their value and fearing rejection or abandonment. This deep-seated insecurity can manifest in clingy and possessive behavior as they seek constant reassurance and validation from their partner. From a psychological perspective, individuals with low self-esteem may have an intense fear of being alone or abandoned. They may believe that if their partner has space or time away, it could lead to them being forgotten or replaced. This fear triggers anxiety, causing them to become excessively needy and suffocating in their relationships. They rely on their partner's presence and attention as a source of validation, seeking constant affirmation of their worthiness and lovability. Neurologically, this clingy behavior can be attributed to the activation of the brain's attachment system. The attachment system is responsible for regulating our emotional bonds and seeking proximity to our loved ones. In individuals with low self-esteem, this system may be hyperactive, leading to an increased need for closeness and reassurance. When their partner tries to establish healthy boundaries or take time for themselves, it can trigger feelings of insecurity and activate the brain's stress response. This sabotaging behavior ultimately harms both the individual with low self-esteem and their partner. By not allowing their partner space to breathe, they inadvertently create an unhealthy dynamic built on dependency and neediness. Constantly seeking validation and reassurance can drain the relationship and put strain on their partner, who may feel overwhelmed and suffocated. This can lead to resentment, frustration, and a breakdown in trust and intimacy.
This is why I say that having boundaries is pretty much applying what I teach, because people are insecure. And when you set boundaries, you'd be surprised how much people resist. And you'd be surprised how mad they get. And you'd be surprised how much they forgive you. And you'd be surprised how much they'll end up respecting you. Now, some highly insecure people will start gaslighting you, which shows you that they're toxic and manipulative, right? This is why boundaries reveals everything. It reveals a person's self-esteem. It reveals a person's boundaries. It reveals a person's real nature, whether or not they're vindictive, whether or not they're understanding. Like having boundaries, when their partner tries to establish healthy boundaries or take time for themselves, it can trigger feelings of insecurity and activate the brain's stress response. And this is not done intentional. Like if you do the real boundaries, people are going to feel insecure and they're going to want to see you more, which then raises your value. But you're teaching manipulation. What I'm telling you is that having boundaries causes people to like you more. This is why people like people with boundaries, because they do make people feel a little insecure. They do make people feel a little uncomfortable. There was one time this guy in school who somebody made fun of a friend of his behind his back. Imagine somebody made fun of his friend that wasn't there, right? We were all drunk. It wasn't intentional. We saw a picture of him dressed as a girl. I don't know how we got it, but we were laughing because we were just shocked. He got pissed. And he looked at the guy that showed the photo. And he was like, dude, I don't like what you did. And the whole room felt like cold. And we were like, oh, shit, this is awkward, right? And he was just pretty pissed off. He was like, I don't like that. You're doing that behind his back. And it felt uncomfortable. But we all respected him for it. We were like, this dude, it's uncomfortable, but we respect you for it. To this day, I respect him for it. To this day, if there's a guy that I want to be my friend, I want that guy to love me as a friend. Cause that dude stood for his friend when he wasn't there. And it was uncomfortable. It made us feel insecure. It produced a stress response. But it also made us respect him more. So that's why you got to control your emotions. And you have to develop a meditation practice. You develop a meditation practice by either going to a meditation Buddhist a Buddhist meetup near your home, going to a Buddhist retreat, for example, the Dharma, the 10-day Vipassana retreat, or buy the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or purchase my course Emotional Mastery, which you could purchase it with a 50% discount code using the coupon code MINDFUL. Just like in love, a person's absence enhances their presence, but after a while, it diminishes once you know too much of the other person. The imagination has no place to roam. Remember, love never dies of starvation, but of indigestion. This is what Robert said. Don't let them see you or treat you like anybody else. Force them to respect you by threatening to leave or using absence. So if they're being disrespectful, you leave. People, you do not tolerate disrespect. You're like a mobster. If you're throwing my name to the ground, you're gonna have to get got. And too many people love too much to the point where they will trade their self-esteem for a person's validation. That's a high price to pay. You're trading your self-esteem for quick scraps of validation. Creating a pattern of presence and absence, it's a death before death, right? It's like dying before dying. Scarcity is a skill that you develop through presence and absence, right? So that means I always tell people in the beginning, when you're getting to know people, see them once or twice a week, the first month. Then after that, you could go more than that. But you want to give them doses of your personality and presence. And then over time, as the weeks go by, amp it up, right? But don't give them too much because you might overdose them, right? And overdosing in this case is killing the whole thing, right? So go up to it slowly. Once a week, first 2 weeks, second week, twice a week, and then you just amp it up. And then from time to time, go back to once a week. But the point is that people need space. And sometimes it's hard to tell when somebody needs space because most people avoid confrontation. Most people don't want to hurt your feelings. That's a good part of humans. The issue with that then is that a lot of needs go unspoken and people lack the communication skills. So this strategy is mostly about how to prevent that. And it's mostly about being polite, right? Giving people space, but also giving you space, because if you don't give people space, it opens up your heart to be more prone to manipulation. The next one is let them influence you, right? Let people influence you. Too many people are tired of other people's stubbornness. Too many people are frustrated that the world around them they're hard-headed, and they get mad of how closed-minded people are. What people don't understand is that they're also closed-minded, like I said, because they don't want to understand the other person's point of view. So letting them influence you and showing to them that they're influencing you is one of the ways to be valued and to allow people to feel understood. A warning: this only works in the beginning. You must have a sense of individuality. Do not seem like you're doing this because you have no identity. This will turn them off. So naturally you're stubborn, and in love, you are in love, all of a sudden you open up. You stop being stubborn and you allow the person whom you love to influence you, right? Why? Because most people, they're naturally resistant to different ideas. To bring them out, lower them out of their defensive nature by entering their minds, by becoming them, by mirroring them, their ideal self. As we grow older, our narcissism grows more psychologically. We become in love with our tastes and points of views and experiences. A hard shell is formed in order to get a hard shell is formed because we start to develop ideas. We start to become an individual. And psychologically, that hard shell comes with defense mechanisms that if anybody tries to create or give us new and different ideas, we react with anger and resistance. in order to seduce someone, in order to get somebody to value us, you got to get them out of their shell, right? So how do you do that? Well, for example, you reflect what they value most, right? So if you're a man and she's a woman, what you do, you embrace your feminine side to lower a woman's defenses, right? Women trust and feel more comfortable around feminine men, right? Because it reflects their feminism, not feminism, but their femininity. If you're a woman and you want to lower a man's defenses, then embrace your masculine. And you'll notice that he'll feel more comfortable. He'll open up. He'll tell you about the girls he's been. He'll tell you about the one time he played that girl because you're one of the boys, right? So it lowers his defenses and it allows him to open up more.
One of the great sources of frustration in our lives is other people's stubbornness. How hard it is to reach them, to make them see things our way. We often have the impression that when they seem to be listening to us and apparently agreeing with us, it is all superficial. The moment we are gone, they revert to their own ideas. We spend our lives butting up against people as if they were stone walls. But instead of complaining...
And what tends to happen is that this makes us very resentful towards people. Because everyone wants control over their environment. And unfortunately, a lot of us, when we're wrapped up in our own desires, we tend to objectify people and see them as objects to control. It happens unconsciously. So we stop imagining that they have their own internal lives, and we resent their resistant nature. But the problem is that from their point of view, we're also being resistant. Let's keep listening.
Complaining about how misunderstood people as if they were stone walls. But instead of complaining about how misunderstood or ignored you are, why not try something different? Instead of seeing other people as spiteful or indifferent, instead of trying to figure out why they act the way they do, look at them through the eyes of the seducer. The way to lure people out of their natural intractability and self-obsession is to enter their spirit.
And that's a complete opposite, because what we want is for people to understand us. And when in reality, the key is to change your attitude and be motivated to understand them. So men are often seduced by the masculine element in a woman, right? Her behavior and her character, that's masculine. Those are things that are very common, right? It's charming to a man to see a woman have masculine traits. Oh, she's like one of the boys. She knows how to get dirty, right? Oh man, she's like my best friend, but I could bang her, says right? So what you do is mimic other people's values. So their spiritual values, their political values, which creates a deeper harmony between the two. And a lot of people will say, Alexis, isn't that manipulation? I don't know, to be honest with you. All I know is that when I'm around you and I know you have a deep, hard-edged political belief, I'm sorry. I'm going to agree with you because I don't give a fuck enough to care. Like, I don't care about proving you wrong. I'm going to agree with you. Don't care. Because you're going to like me more at the end of the day. And I think a relationship with you as a person is more important than who you think should be president. The fuck? So yeah, I'm gonna fucking go with the punches. If I'm in art school, I'm leftist. Yeah, people, I don't care. My political views are like a mask. So it's kind of like people say, what do you think about this? I'd rather find out what you think and I'll agree with you. Again, people might call this fake. Wonder why? I don't care. Simply because I just don't care about those topics. So, but I know you care about them, so I'm going to reflect it to you. And people must say, oh, Alexis, but I saw you in another video. Well, I don't care, people. like you'd be surprised how many enemies you make just because you want to prove them wrong politically, man. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it's better to just, the most savvy social actors in this world understand this. You think most people believe what they say? No. What they do is they do this. They see where the wind is blowing. And just go with those, and they just go with that. But also, you can also not just mimic people's character traits, values, also mimic their spiritual values, which is an element which creates a deeper bond. So if they're into spirituality, practice their spirituality. I've dated Muslim girls, and when she would pray, I would pray. Fucking, I don't give a fuck. Like I pray to Allah. If you're Buddhist, I'm gonna pray to Buddha. If you believe in the spaghetti monster, I'm gonna pray to the spaghetti monster. If you go to a new culture, you embrace their culture like an outsider. You wear what they wear. You say the prayers they pray. You believe what they believe. You can't be going into new places and bringing your different opinions and expect things to go smoothly. They're gonna hate you for it. I'm in Mexico. What do? I start saying Mexican slangs. I start making Mexican friends. I eat Mexican food. I say how I prefer Mexico over any other country. And if that is true, but if it wasn't true, I would say the same shit. It's all about flattering the people because it opens them up to you, to your influence, and you're gonna have a better time. But too many people are worried about being right that they forget that most human interaction is just about understanding, not about proving people wrong. They're gonna hate you for that, man. I'm telling you. You have the wrong idea if all you're worried about is being right. The next thing is scarcity. Now, let's talk about the type of respect and value we talked about was relationship-wise. Now we're gonna talk about value in terms of every area of life, right? This does apply to relationships. This also applies to friends, to making business acquaintances. Now, mind you, this part of skills that we're talking about, this does apply to business and relationship, but where it applies in relationship most is that this benefits men more than women. In other words, if I'm a guy and I paint, and then I have my female version, Alexis, right? And she paints, being able to paint is gonna make me look more, it's gonna give me more of a boost in my sexual market value than it'll give the woman a boost, right? For example, me losing 10 pounds, it has an effect on how good looking I am, but it increases a woman's good look even more if she loses 10 pounds as opposed to me losing 10 pounds, right? So guys are more valued by their external value, by your status in life, right? And so being scarce, having skills that are scarce, like being able to draw, being able to paint, being able to shoot a basketball, being able to program, has a more benefit for a man than a woman, but it still benefits a woman, but it's just different, right? So we have to understand. You're like, oh, I apply what you said, and I still don't have a guy. And it's like, no, like it does help. It adds to your resume. But it doesn't have the same effect as it has if it's a guy. So I'm only letting you know that this does differ depending on you. But you'll see why I apply to everything, and that's scarcity, right? Scarcity applies to every product in the world. Anything that's scarce has a higher value. Everything. So if you're Tyrone, the personal trainer in fucking Vanilla Belgium or Vanilla Estonia with a bunch of white people, Tyrone, you're about to have the time of your life. But if you're Vlad, the white guy, and you're in North Africa in the Congo, Vlad, you're about to kill Vlad. All right. The point is that scarcity increases value in every area of life. So this is why the term exotic comes in, right? And this is why I said good-looking people good-looking people are very scarce. You know, not everyone's pretty people. Okay, let's just be honest. All right, if you're good-looking, you're lucky. So being good-looking is a scarce thing, but also scarce doesn't just apply to your looks. Scarce applies to skills that you have, right? For example, if you're a guy and you throw down the holy hammer, a woman's gonna be attracted to you. You know, if you're a woman and you throw down the holy poom poom and you make his dizzy shake in fucking convulsion, then yeah, you're gonna be unique, right? But also it's not just sex, right? It's also extends to the law of scarcity into skills that you offer into the world, and you will be instantly valuable. For example, a prehistoric one would be being able to hunt, right? The guys who were able to hunt the most were the ones that got the most poom poom. If you were able to if you know how to build a house, you were the most valuable, right? But if you're an artist and everyone else could draw, it's not that valuable. But if I'm an artist and I'm in my social circle and everyone else is a musician, all of a sudden my ability to draw is gonna stand out. But if you put me in around other greater artists, I'm not gonna stand out. So it's almost like you got to go where you're wanted so that your skills can stand out, because sometimes you're valuable, but you're just in the wrong area. You're valuable, but you're just with the wrong people. You're valuable, but you're just in the wrong country. Heck, look at Van Gogh. He was valuable, but he was literally at the worst time. He was in the wrong era. The dude was bored. Like, imagine, it's one thing to be in the wrong country, but to be born in the wrong time, that's tough. For example, being the best programmer, or having a unique set of skills that combined creates a unique thing, right? Like, a lot of people in life don't build up skills. They don't build up their personal skills. For example, look at me, right? I'm not saying that I'm valued, but I'm just saying, like, I try to build up a skill so when I'm older, because as I'm gonna get older, I'm gonna be replaced by younger people, and that's true. So I gotta build up my skills so that doesn't happen. So what do? I'm learning art. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but I'm learning art. I'm learning how to open new channels, new YouTube channels. Okay, that's one thing. I have, man, I gotta build up my skills, right? I do meditation retreats. Those are all skills. What am I doing with that? I don't know. But hopefully one day, as I keep building my skills up, they come together and they create something unique and special. But that's how you do it, man. You gotta build up your skills. Stop just being like a fucking plant and just existing. Build up your skills. This is from the book Mastery.
As you accumulate more skills and internalize the rules that govern your field, your mind will want to become more active, seeking to use this knowledge in ways that are more suited to your inclinations.
The crazy thing is that if you actually do what this is about to tell you, it's gonna bring you untold power. It's why some people can't be replaced. It's why some people cannot be canceled, because they're so unique in their skills. They offer something so valuable to the world that nobody can stop them. Nobody can cancel them. They are irreplaceable. They are
What will impede this natural creative dynamic from flourishing is not a lack of talent, but your attitude. Feeling anxious and insecure, you will tend to turn conservative with your knowledge, preferring to fit into the group and sticking to the procedures you have learned. Instead, you must force yourself in the opposite direction. As you emerge from your apprenticeship, you must become increasingly bold.
Like, for example, I just finished art school. Well, I'm almost done. So rather than just go back and painting normal paintings, maybe I could go to a sculpture program, or maybe I could go to film school, right? The point is that you go in the opposite direction. You explore your inclinations and you see where it goes. The problem with this is that it takes experimentation, and unfortunately, some people don't have the time to experiment. And that's a lot of the times that's what makes the difference.
Instead of feeling complacent about what you know, you must expand your knowledge to related fields, giving your mind fuel to make new associations between different ideas. You must experiment and look at problems from all possible angles.
Yep.
As your thinking grows more fluid, your mind will become increasingly dimensional, seeing more and more aspects of reality.
I love it. A part of his book, he says that when you expose yourself to so much knowledge and such diversity, your brain will begin to reflect nature itself. Because nature is diverse. The best ecosystems are diverse. The smartest people know a lot about a lot of things and connect them together. People who are just book smart only know one or two subjects really well, but they don't have connections between unrelated subjects. What makes people real geniuses are those who connect the
In the end, you will turn against the very rules you have internalized, shaping and reforming them to suit your spirit. Such originality will bring you to the heights of power.
And if you feel like you have too many weaknesses, then focus on what you're best at and build that up, right? But that's how you become valuable to an employee. Or find a boss or somebody who needs you, whose weakness is your strength, right? That's one way to be irreplaceable. Now, the next thing is represent a higher cause, right? For example, let's just say you're a nobody, but then you're noticing that the people in your neighborhood where everyone is mad that the city isn't putting the money into your area. There's a lot of potholes. The parks are messed up, and everyone is mad, but nobody is talking about it. Well, what do? You speak up. You tell everyone what you're thinking of doing. You go to City Hall and you represent the people behind you and say, hey, look, we're all mad and I'm speaking for them. Automatically, you're valued. You represent a higher cause. You represent their needs. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm pretty much saying, this is almost like politics in a way, but it's not just politics, right? It could be that you represent people who are getting abused. It could be that you represent your own people, right? But the point is, representing a higher cause will always make you more valuable as a person. Always, right? Why? Because when you represent a higher cause than you, people who agree with you will give you power, and that power is their influence. And also that power is that you have all of a sudden this halo effect where nothing you do is wrong because you represent them. Now, this is a problem though, because then this can make you corrupt. This can make you somebody. The power they give you could corrupt you, and that's why a lot of people who do this get corrupt in the process. That's why you have a lot of political activists who had great beginnings and who had good intentions, but were corrupted because of the power they got from it. You know what I'm saying? An example of that was Malcolm X, right? He was seeing his people get abused, get hurt, get manipulated by the white man, right? Sorry, Whitey. And so he spoke up. And when he spoke up with the same anger, but controlled anger that his people had. And so when he was speaking in front of people, people will relate to him because he's speaking for them. And so one time there was a mob because something happened. I think a cop hurt another black guy, and the people in their area got tired of the police brutality. And so they started looting and mobbing and destroying the area that they were in. I don't exactly remember. But the point is that they were like, who could stop this? And they're like, well, this is one guy named Malcolm X, and they listened to him. They brought in Malcolm X to the city hall, and Malcolm X said, look, man, unless you convict this guy and you charge him of what he did, they're not gonna stop. So now, because they trust him and because they respect him and because they believe he represents them, if he said destroy this whole area, the people would have done it. Because he represents their cause. And so what happened? The mayor succumbed to him, did what he asked, and the people stayed calm. But now, what did that show? Now, what that says is now he has power, right? But that's at the extreme, not at the extreme, but that's what's possible, right? Like when you represent something greater than yourself, racism, police brutality, even though people, I'm not a victim mindset. I'm sorry, like, you know, even though there might be racism, I don't believe there's racism where people say there is. For example, I believe there's racism in the criminal justice system, right? There's a lot of racism and sexism there. If you're black, you're gonna get, and if you're white and black, and you did the same crime, the black guy will get longer prison time. Everyone knows that. That's so undeniable, right? But then if you're a man and you're a woman and you both commit the same crime, the man is gonna get longer prison time. That's sexist, right? I believe that's where sexism and racism is, right? It's so obvious. Everywhere else is I'm kind of like iffy about it because in my personal experience, I haven't seen it, you know? So it's almost like for me, I have to experience it. You know what I'm saying? Or else I can't, you know, like my experience has been pretty positive. Now, so yeah, these are some of the ways to be valued as a person, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget, we're having a coupon code MINDFUL. We changed the coupon code to MINDFUL because a lot of people were having trouble with the coupon code. So just coupon code MINDFUL to get 50% off my courses and 50% off my one-on-one and 20% off my one-on-one coaching calls. All right. Those coupon codes expire at the end of the month. See you guys later. Take care.